we commanding the block. Burgundy and gold, got the city on lock. Hustling plays, they don't need to pretend. DC reppin' strong and we fight to the end. Command is moving, no breaks, no pause. Hands in the dirt, respecting the call. K-Dot and Amik, dissect the grind. District divider with a city in mind. Trying to dance why, don't miss a bit. And you gotta spread the words, or shit is shit. K-Dot.
Welcome, everyone, to District Divided, a DC sports podcast, more specifically, a Washington Commanders podcast. I'm Amik. That is K-Dot. This episode, it was a jam-packed week in the NFL and for our Washington Commanders. A number of re-signings made, highlighted by Laremy Tunsil. So we're going to touch on those re-signings, what we liked, what we didn't, and then a bunch of new guys signed by Chef Adam Peters. We're going to walk through them, which ones we liked, what we expect to see moving forward. So what's next? And maybe touch on a little bit of other NFL news before we get to the comment mailbag, as we always do. Before we begin this episode, if you could please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do, and K-Dot.
Told you guys this offseason was going to be kind of crazy, and this fan base was out of their goddamn minds. I'm glad y'all didn't have to let me wait too long to prove me fucking right.
Share this shit. We greatly appreciate you guys, and it's a jam-packed episode, like I had said, so let's just go ahead and get into it, K-Dot, beginning with our re-signings. A number of them made. We had already touched on Drake Jackson, Shy Tuttle, and Treylon Burks in the last episode, but since then, there's been Laremy Tunsil to a 2-year, $60 million deal. There has been Marcus Mariota. He returns as Jayden's backup for the third straight year. And there's also Nick Allegretti, amongst others as well. Trent Scott, most recently, who caught Jayden Daniels' first ever touchdown pass, just in case you do trivia sometime this week. And that is a question that is over there. But the big one here being Laremy Tunsil, who once again, 2 years, $60.2 million. He is now the highest paid tackle in the NFL. This got done early, right? So we were able to understand our cap space from the jump. It happened on Monday, just before free agency. Seems like Adam Peters learned his lesson from the Terry McLaurin saga last season. K-Dot, your reaction to Laremy Tunsil's contract extension?
Slam dunk. Like, it's just, this was I don't think anybody had any concerns about whether or not this was going to get done. It's unlike the Terry McLaurin situation last year, when you have a position and age situation, which causes you some hesitation as far as spending. And you can see it when we start talking about some of the new guys and some of the guys we even missed on. Adam Peters isn't budging in certain ways to overspend if he doesn't have to fucking overspend. And that's just what it boils down to. But Laremy Tunsil, knowing exactly where the market is, knowing that he had like this old guard of left tackles kind of leaving the league, you got the new guard kind of making their way. He almost seems like that bridge guy. It only makes sense for him to be the highest paid guy. Trent Williams is on his way out. No one knows where it is that he's going to land, what kind of contract it's going to be at. Plus, he's got to be like 15 years older than him at this point. Like, how long has Trent Williams been in the fucking league? So, like, at the end of the day, yeah. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, get the shit done. Got some questions at center, got some questions at guard, but right now, left tackle, ain't no questions.
Ain't no questions. I'm very glad this got done as early as it did, because it allows you to understand what your cap space is going to be entering free agency, which is exactly the handle that we had, and we'll get to that with the new guys in just a moment. The other notable move, Marcus Mariota signing again as Jayden's backup, which is really nice because he's had to fill in. He had to fill in a lot last season, and he even had to fill in the season prior. So it's good to have Marcus. Ideally, he plays 0 snaps, but history suggests he will play some snaps, and that's someone you trust, right, to be able to run an offense as he has done for quite some time. Are you pleased that we maintain Marcus Mariota? Does that give you any hints on offense, K-Dot? Did you expect us to go in a different direction?
No idea. I mean, the end of the day, like, looking around the market as far as the quarterback thing, there's some names that have been interesting, like the amount of guys that have become available. But the dudes really at the higher end of the name scale is like somebody that you might bring in Minnesota. If you don't necessarily have faith in your starting guy, they might be too big a names or too much money. You look across the landscape of the league, Marcus Mariota, I mean, hard pressed to find a better backup just based on what it is they've done so far. Now, I also think that Marcus would be out of here if Cliff Kingsbury went somewhere where he actually had some pull. That ain't the case. So when you're looking across, it just makes sense for both sides to kind of come back to the table. Marcus knowing that, like, hey, as much as I'm not rooting for it, this probably as a backup gives me my best opportunity to actually play. And outside of that, at least it's somebody that's familiar with us. Nobody's got any issues with Marcus. We all love dude, but I wouldn't be able to say that this has any inclination like what the offense is going to be, right? But at least we all know that like at least some of the language is going to translate from what Cliff was doing. It's not like they're going to throw out the entire playbook. So you got somebody with some experience, and at least you got a quarterback room that knows each other.
Yeah, the continuity is huge, especially for having an offensive coordinator as young as David Blau. Now, as excited as we can be about him, it's still nice to have that quarterback room being the same, him being the former assistant quarterbacks coach, then full quarterbacks coach, now offensive coordinator. Keep that constant for me, please. And they did. So appreciate that. Perfect. And then on the offensive line, right? So we released Tyler Biadasz, who immediately gets snapped up by the LA Chargers for the exact same deal we signed him to just a couple of years ago. 3 years, $30 million. There's a thought we're going to get Tyler Lindenbaum, maybe, right? We're going even further. Now it looks like, as of now, it's going to be Nick Allegretti at center, who also got an extension, Wiley as well. What do you make of that currently, K-Dot?
Yeah, I mean, as we're going into this offseason, I'm saying how much I just want to sign everybody, right? So, like, I think everybody's still kind of waiting for the Chris Paul thing. I know that there's a lot of talk about, like, I think it was Miami and Cleveland are really, really looking at him. But, like, look, I don't like the idea of anybody really leaving when I knew. I would prefer to have more guys, at least. I just want more guys on the offensive line. The fact that, like, we're looking through the roster, I'm like, all right, the cupboard looks a little bare. Yeah, that's it. Getting a Tyler Lindenbaum would have been awesome. But from what it is, it looks like, I don't know what Peters is necessarily thinking in that realm. I don't know what else is going to shake out as far as from a free agent standpoint, because there are still some guys available. So, like, I don't know. I don't quite know, but I also don't know as far as what this offense is going to be like and what it is they're looking for as far as the offensive lineman going forward, right? So like I just think there's a lot of question marks. But as of right now, do I feel as good about the offensive line as I did a few weeks ago? The answer would be no. There's less guys than there were.
Right. I mean, and so again, you're happy that Laremy Tunsil extended. You like what you saw from Josh Connerly last season, and you like Sam Cosmi. And then after that, now you're at 2 question marks. We'll see if Chris Paul comes back. Him not signing immediately is good news for us in terms of our likelihood of bringing him back. He could still sign elsewhere. 100%. Right now, the probability is he does sign elsewhere. But with each passing day, it increases the chances that we can bring him back and maintain that continuity over there. Very curious to see what we end up doing at center. We do have that 3rd round draft pick. Maybe you like someone in the draft that you want to do something about. Doesn't seem like round 1 is how you're going to address that, but we'll see over there. The other move, bringing back Treylon Burks, who, you know, for those that don't know, former 1st round pick, was picked up on waivers by us last season, had that catch against Denver in the end zone, that one-handed grab. And it's nice to have him back, especially because as we get to the new guys and new signings that you're going to see, we didn't pick up other wide receivers. So right now, it's Terry McLaurin, it's Treylon Burks, it's Luke McCaffrey, it's Jalen Lane as your wide receiver room. So this is a big pickup, a big re-signing as of right now. Are you glad to have him back, K-Dot, or did you expect us to get somebody else?
I mean, we tried. Like, I think everybody can report at this point that they did want Alec Pierce. They did want some of these other guys that just was like, we're not going to do that. Treylon Burks is nothing but upside. Nothing but upside. You have a dude, former 1st round talent, can't get right from an injury standpoint, and had some of the highlights last season. If you look at some of the catches, right? Like, even when I was looking to see what it is, the screenshot that I was going to grab of him to put here on the dude, I just didn't want to have another player in it, but he's awesome. It was like, all right, cool. Like, at the end of the day, when you got a wide receiver room the way that we do, which is the only proven name in the building is Terry McLaurin at this particular point in time. You might like what you saw in Jalen Lane. You might like what you saw in Luke McCaffrey, but they're still completely unproven. So, like, Burks is one of those dudes. It's pure upside. Cheap deal. You gave him an opportunity last year. He appreciated the opportunity last year. He wants to prove something. Only makes sense. I don't look at him or slot him in at any number wide receiver position as much as it's still an experiment. Is this going to work out? Is he going to be able to stay healthy? I saw enough from the talent last year that makes me say that I'd like to continue to see what the fuck that's like. But I'd say the wide receiver room itself cannot, under these circumstances, be considered complete. And if it is, then I would say that that's a bit of a concern.
Well, then a lot of people are going to find religion all over again, because this cannot be the wide receiver room, as you said. But we did make some other big signings, and we did get some more clues as to what the team is going to look like in the form of the new guys that we did sign. And there are a lot of them, K-Dot. Yeah. So initially, bit of a slow start by some people's accounts, because the national media had said, don't expect fireworks, that could come from the Washington Commanders because of the cap space. Now, we first signed Amik Robertson to a 2-year, $16 million deal. It was 2 years too early on him. He eventually came here, I guess. And then we get Odafe Oweh. That's the big signing, the 4 years, $100 million. And it must be noted that is the first ever 4-year deal that Adam Peters has given out in free agency, right? $68 million guaranteed as well. So that was a big one. And Tim Settle returns 3 years, $24 million, right? So that is day one. But people were like, man, what about the wide receivers? What about the running back market? Like, what are we doing over there? Day 2 and day 3 come, and we just get more defense, and eventually Chig Okonkwo at tight end, Rachaad White at running back, and the other defenders also very good and very shrewd deals. Leo Chenal, Kansas City Chief, Super Bowl champion over there. Charles Omenihu, same thing. Then Nick Cross, if you look at his numbers, my goodness, for 2 years, 14 mil, also former Terp, lived and died with the Redskins back in the day. He was a fan, right? So it's cool to have him back over here. Went to DeMatha as well. So it ended up being a very, very productive free agency period for the Commanders, who did not just splurge on one guy only. They ended up having enough cap space to bring in all these guys. K-Dot, over here, what did you make of the initial fan reaction? Because it was like, oh my gosh, the sky is falling after day one. And fast forward a couple of days, and all of a sudden, we're feeling pretty good about what we have.
I mean, I'd like to say I called it as far as the fan base. What it is they were going to do this offseason. Look, man, to get just a little psychological on it, just a second. I do think that there's an aspect of, when you look back for how many decades at this point, the only thing we really had to root for was the offseason and the amount of hopium that it gave us. And I think what ends up happening in today's day and age, with everybody's attention spans being as much shorter than they used to be, I don't think that we quite understand what that feeling was and what it ended up being after a while, right? This isn't where you need to be celebrating, guys. Like, we did that far too long. You need to see what the overall play is. And I think when everybody looks at the signings overall, like, the only one that you can even contemplate saying, oh, maybe he spent a little much, is the Odafe Oweh signing. And that, at the end of the day, I think, like, I've got faith in that one, right? I mean, it was between him and, like, Boy Mafe. I chose Mafe, just choose another African name. Like, that's basically what it kind of down to. Like, every single one of these players almost feels like it's the Frankie Louvu signing. It's guys with upside that you didn't overpay for. And you look at, like, the first barrage of people that got signed in free agency, we could have been a part of that. And you would have looked at it and be like, wow, you ate up a lot of motherfucking salary cap space for these guys that, like, their names in this free agency class, but are they really the guys? So, like, when I see what it is that we just came away from, and then I heard that we were in the Trey Hendrickson dance, do I prefer what we have? Yeah, I prefer what we did. I prefer the upside thing. I prefer the speed and the athleticism when you see the raw athletic scores from these guys, and the defense that you think Durante Jones is going to try to put together based on what it is that you've seen in Minnesota. That's what gets me excited, is you start seeing some of these guys and you see how it is they fit, and what it is kind of looking at like where the chess pieces kind of move around, and, like, knowing that they're not done yet, right? And we still got the draft coming up, and, like, what that allows us to do as far as the amount of bodies that they did on the defensive line right now, or Leo Chenal and what it is that he could potentially do depending on how it is they have him. Are they gonna kind of move in the way they had in Kansas City? Are they gonna have him more in that middle linebacker sort of standpoint? Is he gonna be taking the place of Bobby Wagner? Is he gonna be competing with Jordan McGee? I don't know, but I'm excited about all the fucking prospects of it, right? Like, that shit is cool. I love this. And the fan base, god damn it, guys. Y'all got to calm the fuck down. Y'all got to keep it medium, all right? Y'all are way too high and low. This shit ain't all right. Y'all got to calm the fuck down. It was hilarious. 99% of all of you, yeah, all of you, anyone listening that was part of it, that did any of that bullshit on Twitter. What did I see? The meme that went, Iran has chosen their new supreme leader.
Oh my God, yeah, I saw that. It's funny.
I'm like, and then all of you fuckers were eating crow 24 hours later. Calm the fuck down and let the man cook, and they did everything they could to bury him. You start seeing reports about Adam Peters he's too mean in negotiations. He doesn't come down. Fuck off. You wanted the shrewd guy. We wanted the guy that made the right choice and didn't just spend for the sake of spending. That didn't spend to satiate your fragile fucking feelings, but is spending to build a team.
This is what it looks like. And what also happens is Adam Peters clearly has a number in his mind and he sticks to it. And if it goes beyond that, he won't. In the case of Alec Pierce, he actually went beyond what the Indianapolis Colts offered. It was 30 million plus. He did see the 25-year-old 6'3" can stretch the field. And I think he saw a Terry succession plan. That's something I had in mind when I was naming Alec Pierce as someone to watch, right? And someone that I would actually bring in. It's a gamble, but Adam Peters was willing to make it. Alec Pierce already signed. We were in that one. We were in it with Romeo Doubs as well. He just wanted to play in New England because with the Stephon Diggs release, there's no one there. His numbers are going to be awesome in New England. Over here, we already have Terry McLaurin. Right. So we've been trying for wide receivers, right? But now you look at the rest of it. He allows the rest of the league to spend big money. And then with the remaining cap space, because now we're number one in cap space at this point, he can get basically whoever he wants. And you see really nice deals come to be. Overall, younger, more athletic. Mm-hmm. They talked about it with Durante Jones. They talked about it in their own presser, Adam Peters and Dan Quinn. We did exactly that on defense. Nick Cross, 24 years old, right? Odafe Oweh, you are signing before he enters his prime. He'll be 27 come week 1, right? Like, these are smart deals. This is what you do. And so these guys are also durable. That's the other thing. Okonkwo, he's played every game in his career so far. Nick Cross has missed 1 game in his career out of 4 seasons. Then you have Rachaad White, only missed 1 game in 4 career seasons. Chenal, only missed 3 games in 4 career seasons. Odafe Oweh only missed 6 games in 5 career seasons. Amik Robertson has played every game in the last 4 seasons. Tim Settle only missed 9 games in 8 seasons. We know that because he was pretty good over here as a 5th-round pick. And then I didn't even mention Chaisson, who I'm very excited about. He's only missed 3 games in the last 3 seasons, right? So these guys are available. They're younger, and they give us plenty of looks defensively. I love the depth on this D-line now. Absolutely love the depth on this D-line. K-Dot, I was looking at our lads to see what our depth chart looks like now because I was curious. I was like, well, relative to last season, we kept 11 guys, right? So I can go ahead and name them now, right? Odafe Oweh, Deron Payne, Javon Kinlaw, K'Lavon Chaisson, Dietrich Wise, another guy we re-signed, Johnny Newton, Tim Settle, Dorrance Armstrong. It's already 8. Charles Omenihu, that's 9. Drake Jackson, I do believe this team is high on. That's 10. Shai Tuttle, 11. Javonte John Baptiste, 12. That's already 12 guys. And we carried 11 last season, and we've given money to these guys, right? So what does that mean? We can add a little bit more. Does it hint at what we're doing at pick 7? We'll talk about what next. But I love what we can do because now when we play against teams that want to run the ball, we can match up on the D line, right? Okay, we'll put Wise on the edge. We'll put Payne on the edge, right? And we'll have Kinlaw. We'll have Settle. We'll have, you'll be able to do whatever you want. Didn't even mention Dorrance Armstrong. You still have Oweh and Chaisson on the edges. Those guys are double-digit sack guys, right, from their prior plays. There's a lot you can do here, and that doesn't even talk about Chenal and Nick Cross, who averages 133 tackles in the last 2 seasons. Yep. That's Buda Baker numbers, right? Like, he just helps. He's a heat-seeking missile in the run game. Same thing with Chenal. 4.3 speed. It is speed. Odafe Oweh at his Penn State Pro Day ran a 4.37. 6'5". I mean, these guys are athletes, and I'm excited for what this means for the pressure that is relieved for Jayden and the offensive side of the ball, because this defense should be able to be around average at minimum. I know a lot of teams are getting better defensively, but you don't hopefully need to worry about giving up 30 a game anymore. These were nice moves by Adam Peters. I'm very, very excited for the versatility, and it seems like Durante Jones has an idea of what he wants there, K-Dot. I'm very pumped.
I think that what it actually does is allows Durante to be a little flexible within his scheme to kind of figure out what's going to work best. I think that like you got a lot of versatile guys. I mean, I still have questions like linebacker. There's still definitely some
Corner,
questions.
there's
like,
still question.
Corner, like I'd be if we don't sign another corner, I'd actually be shocked. Right. So like there's still some moves to be made. Nick Cross to me is probably the one that like I'm like super excited about like what that potentially unlocks. Also, I mean, what it does as far as the draft, you tell me that like this puts you up to get Caleb Downs and Nick Cross back there. I'm like, I love that safety room. Or you get a situation where like Sonny Styles still makes sense to me, even if it then comes down that way. Like it allows them complete flexibility. And in all honesty, if they tell me that like they have an idea, Leo Chenal, that they want to do a little differently than what it is that they did in Kansas City, and they said, fuck it, we're doing Jeremiyah Love on offense, I accepted a lot more than I did a few weeks ago. So like overall, like there's a lot of positional versatility, and there are a lot of dudes that they get to fill in certain gaps that they might have had going in last year. So like the talk that you had as far as like whether or not they're going to run a 3-4. Well, you run a 3-4, who's going to be the true nose tackle? Tim Settle just solved that issue. So like there is an angle of like, even from a Leo Chenal standpoint, like when you start looking at like Leo Chenal and those numbers and everything, a lot of it almost kind of looks Frankie Louvu-ish in ways. The only thing that he does a lot better than Frankie Louvu is cover a motherfucker. So like what he can do as far from a tight end standpoint, like you see that the Kansas City, a lot of times when they had him, he would be rushing, right? He's not great at pass rush. He's not. When you start looking at some of the stuff, he does it, but what he's really good at is showing that he's going to run and then drop back and run 20 yards back the other way and then stop something, tackle machine, on run blitzes, things like that. Like you just have this athleticism that kind of works where it is from the linebacker position. They're not trying to generate pass rush as much as they got guys on the defensive line that should be able to do it, that allow these linebackers to have some free roaming to stop the running backs in their goddamn tracks and to cover these tight ends on a level at which we haven't been able to. And what it also does as far as having these linebackers or having a linebacker that could do that coverage standpoint, it allows your safeties not have to worry about that part of it. So like, what that does alone, just having a linebacker that can run from sideline to goddamn sideline, can cover a motherfucker on this defense compared to last year, is a night and day difference. And what you said as far as the defensive line, just the amount of bodies that they have to be able to do in these rotations. Like if you were to tell me a lot of these dudes, I am okay with Dorrance Armstrong starting for my team. I've seen enough for that. He probably will not be starting for this team when you're looking at what it is that's happening, right? But even from what it is, it even means to be a starter. It's just going to depend on the package it looks like right now. And that to me is the cool shit, is that you're going to have a defense that gets to get built with these guys that are young, that are going to be here for a few years, and that Jones can really put his spin on what it is this defense is going to be to create an identity. And what you can know already when you look at these dudes is the attitude's already there. To play like a commander spirit, that's already there. You can't look at Nick Cross and Leo Chenal and not say that doesn't speak volumes. You don't see that in their play.
Our D-line suddenly became a strength, right? Because now we can match up with whomever.
I already thought it was a strength, just putting that out there to a certain degree.
Even more so because we were talking about the edge help, right?
Right.
Well, now we got that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, other teams wish they had an Oweh, Chaisson, and Armstrong, for example, with Louvu as well, right? So like we have options there depending on what the offense wants to put out. And when we talk about Durante Jones, a lot of what is discussed is not just the pressure, not just the packages, but the defense dictating the offense the other way around. So now we have pieces to dictate what we want the other offense to do. That's the versatility that comes to mind. Speaking of versatility, we talk about coaching and fresh starts and fresh eyes. I'm very curious because that secondary, we still have questions, right? Nick Cross, very excited for him to play. What does this mean for Quan Martin is my question.
Don't care.
Because I do. And the reason I do is because when he was coming out of Illinois, there was a bit of safety, but there was a bit of slot. And he's big, right? So like depending on what the coaching staff is asking Quan to do, because even in the limited time as a rookie, he had a couple turnovers, right? Like he does have a sense for the ball. He had a horrible season last season, but it doesn't mean that's him as a player, right? So I'm curious to see how this coaching staff views him. If he can have a bit of a renaissance, I would like that an Emmanuel Forbes situation doesn't require someone leaving. And then we're like, oh, okay, there was some talent there. Like, can we revive someone here? Right? Like just with the new coaching staff, Quan Martin's a name for me, given that we only have 3 corners right now, right? Amik Robertson, Mikey Sanders still, and Trey Amos coming off of injury, by the way, Like, he's a guy that I'm interested. What do we do with him? Maybe he doesn't start, but maybe he is a versatile piece where sometimes he's playing corner, sometimes he's playing safety, depending on the looks. I'm curious about Quan Martin. So that's just another thought I had, K-Dot. Any other thoughts on the defensive side of the ball? Because Chig Okonkwo and Rachaad White were
we got
discussion as well. Yeah.
We're, but I mean, the only one on this entire list that I was like, was Amik Robertson, honestly. And that was just because, like, looking at him and where he's gone, like, he's been in some competitive places. Like, I think he can start for some teams, but like, I look at it and I'm just like, okay, that's a depth. That's why I'm looking at that position more than anything. It's like, I'm assuming they're going to bring another body in for that. Like, I would be kind of shocked if they didn't at this particular point, but like, Nick Cross to me does a lot as far as the safety room. I'm going to feel a certain way depending on what it is to do with the draft, right? And I still don't think that we're quite done as far as free agency goes. So I still want to see where it all ends up, because there's still some interesting names out there that I wouldn't be surprised or shocked if we would do it. Because once again, there's nobody defensively that has this like that has done so much above reproach that they can't be replaced at this particular point in time. So like, that's just what it goes down to defensively. But I still think what it is that they have as far as the rotation defensive line, the single biggest issue I think with the defense last year was the D-line injuries over the course of the season, not allowing them to have dudes that could really eat or have the rotation in there to give them the best looks that way, right? Without the pressure or without the D-line actually getting there or making things happen, it just put even more stress on the secondary, put more stress on some of the other guys as far from a coverage standpoint. Leo Chenal and Nick Cross alone changed a lot of that outcome on the back end. But if they could keep these guys healthy, or at least know that if a couple of these guys go down, they still have a good rotation of dudes on the defensive line, that to me makes me feel just so warm and fuzzy inside.
Yeah, it really does. Now, if somebody goes down, we can feel comfortable in the replacement. We lose a little bit of versatility, but overall, these are names you can trust, right? These are proven veterans that have gone on deep playoff runs before, like Omenihu and Chenal, for example, right? Tim Chenal was in the playoffs. I see, like, you have guys that
winners,
Oweh as well, right?
These are not sucky players from sucky teams. All these teams have been in dances and shit, man.
This is what they're used to, and the mindset is going to be that, right? We're going back there. That's a foregone conclusion, right? Now it's just about making sure we get the chemistry. That's the mindset. Right now it's how do we get there, right? But these guys are supposed to help with that.
Yeah, the me and you got into it about the Isaiah Likely piece a few weeks ago, and I was saying how like some dudes need more opportunity, and they just because of depth chart and the way it happens, they aren't getting it, and some dudes like. There's other reasons. But like for these guys, when you start looking at it, you look at Leo Chenal, you look at somebody, you're like, yeah, I want to see them play more. Like these are guys that like have been in these rotations or been on certain teams where it's just like the way that things line up, they're just not going to get a start over another dude, especially when you're seeing the success that some of these teams have. But like, you just want to see them with more opportunities. And that's the thing that like really, really makes me fucking feel good. It's like you signed upside. You really did sign upside. And you didn't do it and broke the bank to do so. Like this to me is one of those off seasons where once again, I talk about the trajectory that the team is on. And I always thought that this off season was going to be the off season to spend. But like I said, going into this off season, I don't think it's the splashy spend that people think. I think it's the smart spend that Adam Peters does. It's a little different than what it is we did before. There's just a little more of it. This to me is one of those sneaky offseason free agencies that somebody looks back after a Super Bowl victory and be like, yeah, that was it.
Yeah. Bit of an interesting comment there, but addition rather. The thing about these free agent signings, if you guys want a sense, hey, is this a good signing? Was this not? You can always look at the money first and foremost, right? And there are plenty of analysts that are going to tell you whether it was a shrewd deal or not, right? Or an overpay. And then look at the fans, because these fans watch these games, right? Of the other teams. The Leo Chenal signing, Kansas City Chiefs fans were like, oh no, we thought we were going to be able to keep him. We love him. How could you let him go for that amount as well? Right. So like, that's one. Nick Cross, same thing. They were like, are you kidding me? Right. Omenihu. Right. And Omenihu's a guy that it's a 1-year deal. It's kind of a prove-it-ish deal. And that it's a 1 year, $4 million up to $7 million and with incentives. Coming off of injury, he plays last season, but doesn't quite look the same. Is it just a year after that, right? With the torn ACL, it's often the second year that you start looking a lot better. This is the second year, right? Yep. So look at the reactions of fans when they lose their players. And that tells you a lot. And the overall sentiment is we got guys. We got good guys. Looking at the offensive side of the ball, K-Dot, Chig Okonkwo was a name that was linked to us for quite some time, Rachaad White as well. Let's start with Chig, right? That's a 3-year, $30 million deal, up to $30 million. I think it's $327 officially. But he's a guy that has been number one on his depth chart, right? Has played with a number of different quarterbacks. Very useful in the tight end screen game, looking at some of his highlights. They throw tight end screens. It's going to be nice throwing it to him instead of Zach Ertz, right? This guy's great in yak situations, and he's versatile. He's played some fullback. He also plays tight end. Obviously, he's a pretty solid blocker, and he is dangerous after the catch. What'd you make of this signing? I know that the fan base was very excited about Isaiah Likely. We've seen what he does in primetime spots. He's a clutch player. But Chig Okonkwo, pretty damn good in his own right. What'd you make of it?
Yeah, I think when we did the predictions episode, you did have Chig. I had Rachaad, right? So we called one.
Yeah, we called one.
The thing with Chig is the same thing as, and I know that we were in the Isaiah Likely sweepstakes as well. So that's something to take with a grain of salt. But while I never thought that Chig did anything that rose to the level of special from an Isaiah Likely standpoint, I will say I always thought he's a more well-rounded tight end, right? So and I like the idea of that added to this particular room, where you have a guy in John Bates who's one of the best premier blocking tight ends in the league. You got a guy in Ben Sinnott where you're not entirely sure what it's going to be this season. Are they going to look at him more of that Kyle Juszczyk, H-back, full-back sort of thing that we've seen him kind of have certain packages that he excelled in with Cliff Kingsbury, but also maybe somebody that can also get on the outside sometimes, right? With Chig being in the room, I think what it allows you to do is be able to have Chig on the field with either Bates or Sinnott and still not lose anything as far as your versatility from a tight end standpoint. You still got dudes that can kind of do a little bit of everything. I like it a ton. There's, once again, another dude where you're looking at far from an upside standpoint. And I don't know, man, these Nigerian names, I'm fucking loving it. We got a theme. It's just cool. And I know Wale was talking about this shit too. Yeah, it was cool shit.
Wale been active in free agency. I've loved seeing that.
I'm sorry, but this to me is I do think I've been more, I can't think of a free agency class I've been more actually excited about. Honestly here. This to me is the way you're supposed to go about it. This is what you're supposed to do. This is the way that you build around in free agency. You don't need to spend insane amounts. As a matter of fact, if I'm being completely honest, it brings me so much joy to hear that we lost out on some of these, on some of the bigger names. Honestly, maybe it's a little Marshawn Lattimore in me. I don't need us to be around some of them, but number one, it shows that we got a GM that's not, or a team president that's not going to overpay for the sake of doing it because a name's a name, right? You're not bigger than what it is we're going to do. Maybe we have the cap space, so we want to take a shot here or there. And Lord knows, if you get one of those names that might have been in that upper tier, upper echelon as far as name recognition, maybe he gets one and he shuts down the rest. He doesn't want to do anything else. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I look at what it is that they actually signed, and I'm like, this, if you got the right coaching staff that's ready to fucking teach and ready to have some versatility in what it is they do, you got the dudes to do that. You got the dudes that are going to be trying their asses off to make things work. I adore this. I adore this free agency class.
Yeah, we had a lot of issues going into this offseason, and we had cap space to fix a lot of them. And I do believe on paper we have fixed a lot of them. The games will be played, and we will find out if they were truly fixed or not. We'll find out about our coordinators as well, right? But best I can tell, Adam Peters has done a pretty damn good job. There's still things to come, right? And I also agree, we're not done in free agency. Now are the even more shrewd signings. People are now you know what? Let's take our time. That wave of free agency has happened long way before OTAs, before training camp, etc. Now it's about fit. Now it's about getting the numbers right contractually and having some more dominoes fall. The draft will also fall. So now you'll see sprinklings of signings across the NFL over the course of weeks, right? So that's just stay patient now. We got a lot of guys. Don't need a dopamine hit every day. Otherwise, we'll have to cut a lot of the same guys you got excited for. So stay patient. Chig Okonkwo, I think, is a great signing. His press conference was very telling. I don't know if you had the chance to listen to that at all, K-Dot. He said that David Blau showed him clips of Detroit when David Blau was over there and what he had in mind for Chig. So we got a little bit of a hint towards a Ben Johnson-esque offense for the tight end, right? We'll see what it truly looks like. But looks like he was looking at Sam Laporta and going, okay, cool, this could be me. He also said it'll be fun to, quote, actually run real routes, end quote, which was a bit of a shot at the Tennessee Titans and Brian Callahan. But he seems excited to be over here, which is very cool. And then Rachaad White, this has been something that had been brewing for some time. I was wondering if we would go in a different direction because I think we'll get Brandon Aiyuk. We'll talk about what's next. But we do land Rachaad White. Team-friendly deal as well. 1 year, $2 million, upwards of $4 million, which is phenomenal. And he's one of the best pass blocking tight ends, one of the best pass blocking running backs in the game. And he's boys with Jayden, which also really helps, at least with that chemistry already there in the backfield. Sneaky good signing, especially at that amount, K-Dot. Excited for Rachaad White.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers that I saw rolling around was like 7. Let's see, like 7 a year. So, like, Jesus Christ. I mean, I guess that playing with Jayden discount is actually a thing. So, like, Aiyuk. Like, we'll talk about him in a sec.
We will.
But the Rachaad, like, seeing Chris Rodriguez leave to go to Jacksonville, I'm sure you were upset about that.
I was, yes. And for the contract about, they believe in him.
No, it's a true, hey, we need a power back sort of situation. That's what they went and go ahead and did. Now, once again, I still think that is something you can circle and still say that that's a position of need as far as that power back, that lead back situation, right? But as far as what you're doing from positional versatility, like what Rachaad White does to me is takes the role of like two guys that I was probably most excited about last year between Eckler and Debo, and you have somebody who's younger that can do those sort of things, right? Like he's one of the best pass catching running backs in the league and has been for a minute. You had that with the pass blocking ability. Like this just gives you an opportunity to do some things that I just think is an upgrade. I've always looked at the screen game as something that really needs to be implemented within this offense. And between Chig Okonkwo and Rachaad White, you just elevated that quite a bit. Like the guy who was probably the best at it on the roster was Austin Eckler. I still think people are not giving enough credit for when he went down last season and what that did to the offense. So like you got a dude that's younger than him that I think has more upside than him. And with Chig Okonkwo, again, like that's the one thing you really look at more than anything else is his screen game. Unlike Debo Samuel, who I had to wonder if he was made out of rubber because every time he looked upfield, that ball bounced off his ass. Chig does it almost the most textbook that you can ever do it. And the same with Rachaad White. You got dudes that can take that ball off the edge and make something happen with it. You got guys that could turn a 2nd and 8 into a 1st and 10. Like that's what you got in these dudes. And that's to me, I love position versatility on offense. I love when you have a new offensive coordinator trying to figure out exactly what it is he wants to be and has little chess pieces that he can move around and see what works and see what it is they excel at. You got that in these pieces. There's still other things you need, and we'll get to it. But right now, with these two players on offense, God damn it, I do think you might just have improved a certain aspect of this offense. Do I think that we got better at tight end? Yeah. Do I think the running back room, if I had to pick between somebody catching the ball out of backfield, if I had to pick between Rachaad White and Jeremy McNichols and Chris Rodriguez, I know I'm picking Rachaad White. It's just what it is. So like I feel once again, I adore this free agency class.
I think you tied a very nice bow there on this topic, and let's go ahead and talk about what's next, what's to come. It seems like it's a foregone conclusion, right? There's literally one guy in this graphic, right? That Brandon Aiyuk, when released by the San Francisco 49ers, which has not happened yet. Sounds like they're going to take their time with that. Still some beef between the two sides.
Dickheads.
Yeah, that he will be a Washington Commander. TJ Hushmanzada talked about it as well, who just said, yeah, 99.9% chance this guy's going to go to Washington. He wants to play with Jayden. Jayden wants to play with him. And we have a need at wide receivers still, right? So it makes all the sense in the world. K-Dot, do you believe that Brandon Aiyuk is going to be a Washington Commander? That's one. And then two, like, how do you feel about it? And what's next beyond that?
Well, knowing that they swung and they missed for some of the other guys, yeah, you need somebody that has some talent at wide receiver. Like you gotta make the move. And if Debo is not coming back, which doesn't look like he's going to come back, then I think Aiyuk catapults to the top of the list as far as guy from a talent standpoint that you gotta want here. And it does make sense. The only thing that I think Aiyuk being here is a slam dunk. The only thing in the way is that I will tell you, if San Francisco's able, knowing that that's where he wants to go, if they have any say in the matter, they're going to do everything in their power to make sure he doesn't, just to fuck with him. So
they do not like each other.
They do not. There is no. They are going to do everything they can to fuck this dude over. Which, in all honesty, when you look at what's happened over the course of the last couple of years, it's whatever.
I get both sides, honestly.
I'm on one side more than I'm on the other side, but I do think that both sides could have both conducted themselves a lot better than they have been.
That much I agree on.
Yeah. And look, if you get here all water under the bridge, get your shit together. Make sure you give us a discount like your boy Rachaad did, and then we can go about this shit the way we need to. Yeah, I do think that I will say this. If we do not sign another wide receiver and we got to wait until June, I understand everybody's assholes might be a little puckered, and I understand I'm right there with you, because then it creates a situation where we need him. We need him. And I don't necessarily love being in that category of needing Brandon Aiyuk. I'd like us to have another alternative in some sort of semblance, but I would feel if he ends up here on the roster, do I feel as though I feel good going into next season, what it is I have? I'd say that I feel pretty decent about what it is I have going into next season.
Yeah, you'd mentioned another option, and you see the reports that we're in for Alec Pierce. In fact, we offered the most money out of anybody for Alec Pierce. He just happened to sign the contract before Monday at noon Eastern time with the Indianapolis Colts. And then you saw that we were in on Romeo Doubs, and it was literally his choice. It seems like the money was quite similar. And John Keim's reporting, those would have been in addition to Aiyuk. They would not have been separate, or they would not have been, not signing Aiyuk because they spent big money on this. It would be them plus Aiyuk.
Right.
Which makes me think that Adam Peters in the background is probably working on something, because I think he knows that he needs somebody that can be a Terry succession plan. That's one, as a possibility, right? And two, that presence of that wide receiver makes it so that Aiyuk, if for whatever reason there are any personality clashes or there are any off the field problems, we can do without, right? We are not in a position of need with Brandon Aiyuk. I think that's also very, very important. What I think's going on, and I know that there are conflicting reports on this, I think we're trying to trade for Brian Thomas. I think that what we are trying to do is that is another field stretcher. That is another person that Jayden knows, that has chemistry with him, right? They're tight, right? Seemingly everyone wants to play with Jayden, right? Anyone who's ever met Jayden, it's like, I want to play with him. That makes a lot of sense to me, because you have a guy that in his rookie year had over 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns, and no one quite knows what happened, but he was shopped at the trade deadline. And now they're saying they're not taking offers. They don't know where that came from. But whenever they say that, they're taking offers. So I can see him being a potential wide receiver one on this team. And that puts Terry in a difficult spot at the end of this season, right? Because when, as Terry does, wants to renegotiate a deal entering his final, right? Now it's like, well, we got Brian Thomas. Well, we got Brandon Aiyuk. Like, we're staying at this number this time, Terry. Nothing you can do about that. Right. So like it helps. It makes way too much sense across the board to get a guy like Brian Thomas. And it is, I know people are a bit gun shy when it comes to trading picks, because we tend to do that a lot, but that one makes sense to do. And so I do think that Adam Peters is probably working on that, because outside of that, I'm not seeing the option unless you are drafting a wide receiver with pick 7 overall, which is certainly on the board at this point. But you look at him drafting Luke McCaffrey and Jalen Lane, that's already 2 drafts in a row you've taken a wide receiver, and they've been fine, but if anything, below average, not above average, right? So like that is where my mind goes, K-Dot, is they go, hey, let's look at Brian Thomas in Jacksonville. That's what I'm thinking.
I'm not with you on that. I understand where you're saying. I guess I understand to a certain degree, like why I would say that I think that they're going to be gun shy about trading any draft picks. You start talking about the player stuff. Like I know I saw Deron Payne linked to it to some degree.
No, he's staying.
I will say that unless I could figure out a player package to do it, I just don't think. But I also think that there are other names still available. Is it Juwan Jennings is still a name? Like they're, I even think that it is not outside of the realm of possibility that Deebo Samuel's back.
I agree.
So like, I don't make that swing if I'm them. I mean, I get what you're saying as far as needing to find the Terry succession plan, but it's I think that's that's one of the swings that I wouldn't necessarily be all about. And also like last season, the Brian Thomas experiment compared to the season before that just looked a little different. And I understand Jacksonville's a weird place, but whatever. Yeah, I just don't love it. I don't love that. It might be the Marshawn Lattimore thing. Although different guys, different age groups.
Guys, this kid's 23, 24 years old.
100%, tons of upside. I get one to take the swing. It just, I guess it would just depend on what the ask is from Jacksonville. I mean, I guess his trade value is probably as low as it's going to be compared to last year versus this year, or 2 years ago compared to last year. But it depends on the ask. There are too many other things that they need to do as far as developing the team itself. We're not in that LA Rams situation just yet where you can get rid of everything. And trust me, I'd love to be there. I want to be there. I don't give a fuck about draft picks compared to just getting guys that are actual proven talents. That's something that I'm firm on. But I just don't think we're quite there to make that move just yet. Although I would understand it. That to me almost feels like it's a mid-season thing that you might do, depending on when you look across the landscape of stuff. I just think there are some other guys that how would I feel if they end up doing if at the end of this offseason they had Juwan Jennings and Brandon Aiyuk added to this room.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I think you would certainly be intrigued by it. I don't know that you feel confident enough in Juwan Jennings to be a wide receiver one, whereas you could easily.
I get what you're saying. Yeah,
right, right. With Brian
Terry
Thomas.
replacement. Yeah.
And you have him cost controlled right now, right? Because that is up until year 5. Basically, you can pick up a 5th-year option. You could extend him if he's awesome. Like you have so many options with a rookie contract that you'd be trading for.
I'm going to take I'm going to take a bold pick. It says March 13th, Friday the 13th, 2026. Terry is here for life.
I hope so. Just to be clear, I hope so. I don't think Adam Peters is thinking that way. This is attempting to predict. I'd love for Terry to be here and retire, Commander. I think
that Adam Peters has a tendency to be considered more shrewd than he actually is. I just think that he's I did read somewhere else, and I agree with that assessment that like people don't understand his humor, and people don't understand like how it is that he goes about things. That he's firm. He's not trying to be mean. He's got a way about going it. As someone who has a bunch of the tism, I get it, Adam. Yeah, there's some things like that's my bold prediction going forward. I might be completely wrong, but like I really do think that there's some things with that, and I also think that there's I think that Von Miller's coming back. I really do think that they're probably going to re-sign him, even with yeah, man. I honestly do, and I don't throw it completely out as far as Deebo Samuel. I'm not throwing it out as far as completely Chris Paul. I really do think that this is not the end of what it is we're going to do from a free agency standpoint. I really do think there's going to be some other moves, and I do think that some of them will be a little bit surprising, at least compared to what it is the fan base kind of thought going into this. I just think it also just the way that kind of free agency is kind of landing itself out. I don't think anybody's beating down the door of Deebo Samuel right now. I don't think anybody's beating down the door of some of these guys. And it's like, all right, well, if you can get good value, that's what you do. And that to me is where Adam Peters has been the most shrewd, is there's good value here. Let me go do that.
Yeah. I don't think Von Miller's coming back. I'm not throwing out Deebo Samuel as an option to return. Because we'd heard, this stuff in San Francisco, is he overweight? Is he not a good teammate? When he was here, he was great. He was a really good teammate. Nothing of the sort that happened in San Francisco or you even heard about in San Francisco happened over here. Right? Yeah. Did he have some drops? Yes. Was he also forced into a wide receiver 1 role? Yes. And in some games he did produce. The LA Chargers game, for example. He was great. Mm-hmm. Right? So I would not be surprised if Deebo Samuel returns. I just think from the standpoint of you can go for it this year and you're able to have flexibility with Terry McLaurin. That's why my mind goes to Brian Thomas. You can get a round 1 talent for not a round 1 price right now, early in this guy's career. So that's what I think. Talking about the round, before we get to the first round pick, 7 overall, Bobby Wagner. Do you think that there's a chance he comes back, or do you think we've now closed the door on that?
I don't think the door is closed because I don't know what they're going to do with Leo Chenal yet. So like I get the upside as far as like having, once again, we talk about the 3-4 base, 4-3 base. Like I'm looking at the players they got. Tim Settle makes sense if you need a nose tackle in the 3-4. He fills that role better than Chenal would, better than Payne does, because Payne's better at that elephant end than he is on other things. But then if I look at it, okay, the defensive ends you've got kind of locked in a 4-3. I like a lot of these dudes in a 4-3 as far as from an end standpoint, and getting him kind of switched around between Armstrong, Wise, John Baptiste, and the new guys, right? So then I'm looking at linebacker. What do you want to do at linebacker? They got speed, Kane Madrano and Jordan McGee and Ali Cahoe, and now Frankie Louvu, and now you got Leo Chenal. But what does that look like, and how it is you're going to have these guys positioned? In Kansas City, Leo Chenal did a lot of stuff on the outside and the edge, a lot of stuff near the line of scrimmage, a lot of stuff that you see as far as the Frankie Louvu thing. But I tell you right now, if I'm looking from a pure pass rush standpoint, Frankie Louvu is better than Leo Chenal. And I didn't like seeing Frankie Louvu do it all the time, right? So like, but that's if you got him playing down in the line of scrimmage. If you have it where it is also in Minnesota Vikings defense, where you have it where you got the space eaters up front, they're allowing lanes or opportunities to open up. Do I feel better about Frankie Louvu? Remember him and Bobby Wagner doing that trade-off blitz up the middle thing, looked pretty fucking good. Leo Chenal's got the speed to make that sort of thing happen. What are they going to do, and how are they going to utilize these guys? I'm just not sure yet. I do think that they got some versatility in it, but I don't know as far as like the way that it's going to be completely broken down.
Yeah, I do think as of right now, I would lean no on Bobby Wagner coming back, but I'm not closing the door, just like you. I'm not closing the door on it, and we'll see what we want to do with Leo Chenal. It's all of a sudden we had talked about it, right? Are we bringing 2 linebackers in? This would be bringing 2 linebackers in with Chenal and Bobby Wagner. So we'll see what we end up doing here. Round 1, pick 7 overall. As of right now, K-Dot, if everyone's available, let's say, right, like your player falls to 7, who is that player? Who do you think that the Commanders would take as of right now?
There's no one in the draft I want more than Sonny Styles. And that's forever been the case. And that's even with knowing the Leo Chenal signing and everything like that. I'd still pick a Sonny Styles. Okay. I just think that he's that like positional defining. But I will say this. Knowing what happened as far as the combine, knowing as far as like the Sonny Styles thing, knowing that I've had to come to terms with he is most likely not going to be there at 7 anymore. I will say that because of the signing of Leo Chenal and because of what's happening as far as the defensive line, Caleb Downs sounds awesome right now too.
Yeah. So that's where I land right now is Caleb Downs. But that it's either him or I'm still curious to see what we do at wide receiver. Mm-hmm. I don't think we draft one at 7 as of right now still, despite what I'm currently seeing. So I think it would be Love or Downs. Like that's where I'm currently at as our 2 options. You always try and get you always try and do best player available. Both those guys represent best player available and need still, right? So like that is interesting to me. And then picking which wide receiver is going to be the best one is always a bit of a tricky game. You tend to hit on wide receivers these days. It's easier to do than like say corner or even edge rusher for that matter. I think that's why we went after edge rushers here, was like, hey, we don't have to take one now because there is a chance you're wrong about that, right? Let's take a guy that's proven in the league that we know can be an edge rusher, and then we can draft other positions that we feel safer drafting. But I think Love or Downs as of right now, but we will continue to see free agency unfold. There's still plenty of time before the NFL draft and plenty of free agency to come. Any final thoughts here, K-Dot, before we, looking at the time, move to the comment mailbag?
I will say that I do think there's a significant chance we just we trade out of this pick if it's there to do.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
I agree with that. Getting more picks would be quite nice. I would not mind at all. But yeah, all right. And with that, we go to the comment mailbag featuring a banging new intro.
And now the
Comment mailbag time, you motherfuckers. District divided, beat the brakes off of suckers, pull up and fall in. Spread the word and get your ass in line. OGs and new blood, it's your goddamn time. This is the gospel, ho, and we spit it like scripture. Burgundy and gold got the whole damn picture. Yeah, cancel that wish. And if you're still with ice, we know your mama is a bitch. K-Dot in the midst, we don't miss, we deliver glorious audio art out your motherfucking speakers. District divided, welcome to church. Comment mailbag time now, who's up first?
All righty, and thank you for that intro and the other stuff, which maybe gets discussed over here in the comment mailbag. Let's go ahead and begin with Martin Collins. Shout out saying, Amit, get home soon. Be safe, brother. Appreciate it. As you can see, I am back home, safe and sound. Appreciate the well wishes over there. As I arrive back here, K-Dot goes, I'm going to get the fuck out of here. Can't be the same place. So off he goes. And here is Martin Collins again going, we've had Jonathan Allen, Payne, and Sweat, including Chase Young. It didn't make us that much better. We drafted a high pick wide receivers in Jahan Dotson, who was a bust. Quarterback Emmanuel Forbes was a bust. Get Jeremiyah Love at running back, and you have a receiver and an instant impact player that will instantly make our offense scarier. The more that comes out around Jeremiyah Love, K-Dot, people see the highlights, people see him as the 3-down back, and you see some of the markers, I'm forgetting what they are exactly right now, that suggest he can be a Jahmyr Gibbs, a Christian McCaffrey, etc. What do you make of Jeremiyah Love at this stage?
I'd like to have more clarification what the interior of the offensive line is going to look like before I'm like completely solidified on the the Jeremiyah Love piece. Jordan Love be interesting.
Yeah, imagine trading the 7th overall. You got Jordan Love. You're like, what?
Throw Micah Parsons in that bitch. We'll talk. Look, I've been one to say I'm never going to be anti-drafting Jeremiyah Love because I also think from a positional value standpoint, I think running back's actually undervalued. But once again, I also think that running back can be wasted if you don't have the offensive line and you don't know your scheme offensively. Now, I'm with sometimes you got dudes that are just special, so you can't pass it up. Looking at you like New York Giants, like wasting Saquon Barkley in his years. But like at the end of the day, you're better with him than you are without him. It's what you got to do to kind of make everything else kind of run and work best for him. I think some teams actually do a pretty decent, like you look at Atlanta with like Bijan Robinson, right? There almost seemed like there was this inkling of like, we don't have it for him yet. So we're going to not give him as many touches as necessary until we do have him. So like maybe you do something along those lines, but I would hate that you have this Ferrari sitting here in the garage and you can't quite utilize them the way you need to when you have a team that has so many needs, right? So like, it just depends on who's available and what's there. I do think that you're in a position where you just need to get the best player available. And like, in my opinion, if I'm like ranking these guys, like I like Mendoza a lot, but he's definitely not on the table. So like of the guys that I would look at, the ranking that I would do, I still have Sonny Styles number 1, but Jeremiyah Love would be number 2. Caleb Downs would probably be number 3. And if you got an opportunity to walk away with any 3 of those guys in any particular order at number 7, I think you're a better team for it. But like, if I had to make my pick between if Styles, Downs, or Love were available right now from what I'm seeing, I'd love to go defense more and I'd love to go offense right now with what it is that happened with the picks. I'm looking at the players with the upside. I'm thinking the only thing missing defensively is the special guy. You don't have the special guy yet.
And when you look at best player available, the 2 names that consistently pop up in terms of just overall package are Caleb Downs and Jeremiyah Love. So if you can get one of those guys, it's obviously great. Jeremiyah Love, to me, is explosive. I think he becomes damn near top 5 running back immediately, just based on the measurables and how running backs these days sort of do that, even as rookies, because then they get a workload that necessitates numbers that puts you in that conversation immediately. I'm with you, K-Dot, in that I'd like a little more information on our offensive line before I feel comfortable with that. If Chris Paul returns, I'm like, oh, you know what? Let's do it. Like all of a sudden, I'm much more excited about it. But for me, it's still Caleb Downs right now because he gets a lot of credit for organizing that Ohio State defense also from the safety position. You talk about versatility. This guy is versatility. Right? Like he can play in the slot. He can move up to linebacker at times despite his size, and he plays safety. He does it all. I've been, in love with Caleb Downs as a prospect since the moment we started all our draft stuff. Still am. It would be awesome to get Caleb Downs if he's there. Sounds like the Giants at 5 is where he's currently going to go.
Are you on the Sonny Styles Kool-Aid yet?
What? Yeah.
I'm wondering.
Yeah, no, listen.
There's a lot of Caleb Downs.
Once we do our live episode, and we end up taking Sonny Styles, you'll see me throw on some shades. Trust me. That type of player, that speed, that ability to wear the green dot, that's okay. You heard it there. And here's Martin Collins, who also shout out Sonny Styles' dad. Have you seen the photo of that man?
I don't understand. Like, I think every year I'm right about one guy. This one guy, I'm
dead. This is Sonny.
I'm all in on Sonny. It's the same way I've been all in on some of these guys. Like it's usually tight end is usually where I'm looking at more than anything. I do like some of the tight ends in this one, but like with the Chig Okonkwo stuff and with Benson, I'm not looking at that at all. I'm not looking at that at all. I don't want to suspend anything on that right now at all. Yeah, that's probably the only position I'm like, stop. No, don't do it.
The prospect of Love with Jayden in that backfield is obviously tantalizing, just to be clear. But, want a little more info on that offensive line. Martin Collins also goes, let's please try and fix our defense through free agency. Do you think we'll get Brandon Aiyuk and keep Chris Paul? Tyler Biadasz being cut was a huge surprise. I would say, Martin, that trying to fix the defense through free agency, we've gone a long way towards doing that. Once again, it's younger. It's more athletic. These guys don't miss games, or if they do, it's just 1 or 2 a season versus what we experienced last season, which was damn near an anomaly, right? With also the year prior being an anomaly in terms of our health. K-Dot, do you think we'll get Brandon Aiyuk? And do you think we've solved defense through free agency so far?
I think we're going to get Brandon Aiyuk. I stay away from the word solve, but what I'll say is this. I am of the idea that when I still look at who it is we signed in this free agency class compared to the guys that I've heard that we were in the conversation for, the guys that I hear that we're in the conversation for don't really move the needle for me. I don't think that if we signed them, you'd see me up here rah-rah-rahing like I think some of you guys might be doing. I like what happened with this so far because what this to me screams is my overall narrative is strong with this team in the sense of I do think the injuries, once again, were the single biggest thing that caused us to have the year that we had last year. And the idea when you're looking at what it is you need to build or what it is you need to get off of it, you need to be strategic on what pieces you need to place in this thing. How you need depth, where it is you need this guy, where it is you need more speed, but you're still on the overall trajectory. And that to me is where we are right on pace. Is the only thing is that whether or not the changes on the coordinator standpoint changes the system or changes the scheme so tremendously that I can't necessarily look at that as a variable I can count on anymore. That's it. It's literally it. But I do feel right now we are right on target. Super Bowl in the next 3 years, guys. Super Bowl in the next 3 years.
That would be awesome. And I think we've done a great job with the defense through free agency. I echo a lot of what K-Dot said. I have loved this offseason so far. And I do think we'll end up with Brandon Aiyuk in July when the Niners eventually release him.
I would say if Linderbaum's the only one that I'd be like, kind of wish we had that. Like, kind of wish we had that. The money
was crazy on Linderbaum.
The Biadasz, right now I'm concerned at center.
Of course, we are all concerned at center.
I don't see a fix in the draft. I don't see I see that you need somebody, and I'm looking across the landscape, and there's nobody that's going to make me feel completely solidified that exists right now. But it's just something it's something that does need to be addressed, and I do think that it just shook out in a way that I don't think that they thought it was going to. Otherwise, I don't think they let Biadasz walk out the door like that.
Yeah. Oh, certainly. I think that they thought they were going to get a McGovern or a Linderbaum with all the cap space that we had. It did not happen. And then you got Allegretti on the radio going, some would say center's my most comfortable position. I would expect him to say that, just to be clear. So you don't necessarily put a lot of stock into what he said over there, but we'll see. Center is still very much a position of need. I'm currently pulling up. Yeah, I mean, the average annual salary, K-Dot, right, up until, just wanted to confirm this, Creed Humphrey made the most at $18 million a year.
Makes sense.
Followed by Cam Jurgens, $17 million a year.
Also makes sense.
Okay. Lindenbaum's at $27 million a year. It just shattered. Like, I'm glad we were not the team that paid that much.
It's probably the best idea. I would just say, I think the Linderbaum thing to me, I'd even say that if Biadasz was still here, then the Love thing to me is like, yeah, sign me up. But right now, I'm just
with
like,
consistency.
Yeah, that's it.
That's totally fair. Yeah. All right. And then we go to Coach Lombard. Shout out, Coach. Who goes, challenge accepted. Based on what you guys did, I am selecting 8 free agents, 4 on offense and 4 on defense. And they are based on perceived team needs, scheme fit, and overall talent. I like the Rico Dowdle pick a lot, Assuming it's just Bill, Rico provides both a physical profile and he's a more reliable receiver. I think Terry's replacement is in the draft, so I would look for a wide receiver who creates insane separation and can attack the entire field. I'm thinking Romeo Doubs with his helmet condom. In terms of tight end, Washington needs a field-stretching flex tight end, and Chig Okonkwo might have the best skill set for that. At center, I'm going Tyler Linderbaum for his elite foot speed, and AP has the money for him. On defense, I'm going Chaisson at edge. I'm not sure about the scheme fit, but he has elite burst without Hendrickson's age or price tag. At inside linebacker, I'm going Eric Wilson, more for scheme fit than skill. At nickel, I'm going with Alontae Taylor for both his versatility and his disruptive play style. Lastly, at safety, I'm going with Jaquan Brisker as an alley filler and a blitzer. How'd I do? All things considered, pretty good, coach. Like, a lot of people got 0 correct. So some people got 1. Kate and I have 1 each correct so far. You got 2, right? Like, you got Chig Okonkwo and Chaisson. Well done to you. I think you did quite well there. Go ahead, Kate.
No notes. Good job, coach.
Coach also goes, I'm from New Jersey, due east of Trenton, and Jersey south of Newark. And it's basically Eagles country. My point was that Durante won't necessarily do the full Flores install. It would be smart for AP to sign Eric Wilson to be the B-Wags replacement. Also, I like your new Comment Mailbag intro. It's definitely in the ballpark. K. Your reaction.
Thank you for the compliment there at the end. John Fetterman.
So Eric Wilson signing with the Vikings was a bit of a surprise. I did think he was going to follow Durante Jones over here. So when he didn't, for me, I don't know about you, kid, I was like, oh boy, maybe this just means that Bobby Wagner's back and we'll make it work, because Dan Quinn loves Bobby Wagner. But the Leo Chenal signing, to me, represents Durante Jones being in charge, which I am very, very thankful for, because I think it backs up the words, right? It would have been easy to be able to bring back Bobby Wagner, as close as he is to Jayden Daniels, as much as he gets to do on this defense, right? So it was cool to see that Leo Chenal, at minimum, is the first linebacker. You could still bring back Bobby, right? But having Leo Chenal be the signing at linebacker, I think, is a good sign that DQ is empowering Durante Jones, right? He is empowering David Blau on the other side of the ball when he's able to show Chig Okonkwo tape of Sam Laporta and, be able to say, hey, this is what the offense looks like. Your reaction?
I hate that I was looking over my notes and literally Chaisson and Chenal were both next in line on my list. Wilson was the pick because of the scheme thing, but that's also like, I get it, I understand, but like right now they're just like, hey, we just need the talent in the building, we'll figure it out the rest. And yeah, I mean, it makes sense. The Eric Wilson thing did make sense to me. It still does make sense to me if that were going to happen. But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, even if you're him, he could have followed it. He could have stayed right where his ass is, where he knows the scheme and he knows the system, and he's important to that. So, I mean, I get it either way. Yeah, that's it.
Renell Winchester goes HTTC 100 football emoji, muscle emoji, and goes, loved your picks. Very well thought out. I especially like the idea of Eric Wilson. I have been very concerned about someone who could take on Bobby Wagner's green dot defense QB role, which is why I have been looking at Sonny Styles in the draft. That's another person with Sonny Styles on their board. And I hope both Aiyuk and Rachaad White make the team. And Renell Winchester, tell you what, looks like that's going to happen. Rachaad White already on the team. Aiyuk looks poised to be a Washington Commander if and when the 49ers release him. And Sonny Styles in the draft. Hey, I already said I would wear shades if we drafted that guy. Specimen. It'd be awesome. K. Your reaction.
I had something, but
oh, come on.
I'll just be repeating myself. No, we're good.
Okay.
That's fine. Fine comment. Great.
All right. Jamal Bibi Shaban. We goes, hi, guys. Sorry, I have not kept up for the past few weeks. Kind of watching the Orange Man activities in the Middle East.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, a bit hard to not keep track of that stuff. Pretty
you.
Insane. Yeah, especially me, who had to reroute his return home. A bit more expensive as well. Man, oh man. My God. Holy shit.
I've been trying to change my plane ticket to return from Seattle, and while up until 2 weeks ago, I was going to get a refund. It's now going to cost me like $800 more if I want to see it. It's like, yeah, thanks, orange fuck.
Yeah. Thanks. We go to the Nathan Perry, who goes, an interesting tidbit I came across when reading about Allen being released was how defensive tackles are used in the Flores defense. More often than not, they're asked to take out offensive linemen to open holes for looping ends or blitzing players. It'll be interesting to see how something like that translates here. Newton is not a power guy and would not be useful in a system using tackles this way. Now, had mentioned that there are 12 defensive linemen already, right? And these aren't just Shy Tuttle's probably the only one, right? Without a lot of name recognition that got re-signed. Drake Jackson, he comes from San Francisco. Yeah, he's been banged up, but that's a second round pick, right? Like Javonte Jean-Baptiste is Adam Peters' guy, right? Like, and the rest, you just signed basically. And there's guaranteed money attached to all of them. So Johnny Newton, yes, one of his guys, but he also keeps signing D tackles. And so it lends itself to, is Johnny Newton maybe on the trade block or something like that? K-Dot, what do you think?
Johnny, you can look at everybody on the defensive line, except for, like you said, Tuttle, and I could see where it is they fit and what it is their positional versatility might be like. Sometimes they don't necessarily have the position versatility. Once again, I think the Tim Settle thing is illuminating in the sense of what's going to happen from the nose tackler in the middle of that defensive front. Yeah, I mean, if that's why, like, when you talk about the Brian Thomas thing, I can't help but think that Payne or Newton might be involved in something like that if it were to go down that way. I'd be actually shocked if one of them weren't on the move, if they were going to end up having a trade anywhere. I think, like, honestly, if there's a trade anywhere to do with any team, I'd be shocked if one of those two dudes weren't a part of it.
Yeah, I don't think Daron Payne is going to be a part of any trade just because of how much money he's owed. And then you'd have to sign him again. And so I don't think he's on the move. I know from our perspective, we got a lot of cap relief, right? If we do that, but we've already spent the money in free agency so far. So what does that really do for you long-term? Not sure. But Johnny Newton is an intriguing piece for teams that go, hey, we need a pass rushing D tackle. Like, we've already got, run stuffers and stuff like that. And our scheme needs a guy like Johnny Newton who's undervalued, similar to Brian Thomas currently being undervalued by the Jacksonville Jaguars. So maybe that is something that occurs, right? Where you trade Newton and a pick or two, and you end up getting Brian Thomas. Possible. The more I think about it, kid, the more possible it is that it's Johnny Newton that ends up getting moved. Although, I mean, I love Johnny. I hope he stays, but who knows?
I think Newton's got talent. I think that you got to see more of it. You got to see more consistency from it. If you tell me Newton's part of the trade, I'm looking at 2 picks, not 1. They're going to have to move with him.
Yeah, just show him the Dallas game. Then it's 1 pick.
Yeah. You say Dallas. I saw that Bobby Wagner was linked to Dallas and made me really sad.
That would not be great. I would throw up, probably. I wouldn't want that.
Yeah,
he wouldn't.
I don't know.
No, it's a business. Earl Bruce goes, so far in the first 3 days of free agency, Adam Peters has cooked. He's signing younger guys to 3-year deals. He's rebuilding the defense on the fly. Is the roster better? On paper, it is. And on that note, the 3-year deals, K-Dot, the last couple off seasons, it's been Dorrance Armstrong, it's been Frankie Louvu, and it's been Javon Kinlaw. And this offseason alone, it's been Chig Okonkwo, it's been Tim Settle, it's been Leo Chenal. And that does not include the first 4-year deal he's handed out to Odafe Oweh, right? He means business this time around. He's taken some swings, which we both requested of him, while also being able to fill other holes on this defense as well as offense. What do you make overall, tying a bow on this episode, K-Dot? That was the final comment.
I don't think there are a lot of swings in this. I really don't. Like, I look through these and I'm not seeing any swing for the fence sort of stuff. What I'm seeing is a continuation of what we've been doing in the sense of the players that worked. What you needed to do was increase the amount of those guys that you signed this year. And that's what they did. This was not, once again, if they had won out on some of the guys that they've been linked to, that's a difference in the sense of the way that we've been approaching free agency. I've been of the idea, and I think that you've also been of the idea when looking at, like, even what our predictions were, that we weren't going to end up looking like Vinny Serrato at some fucking point, that we were still going to do that. There was a way to do this in a way that was smart, that didn't leverage the entire future on anything. And you take good bets on good guys with upside that you find good deals. That's what I'm looking at. You look at all these contracts. The only one that's like is probably the Oweh deal is the only one you're like, oh, that's a lot of money. But everyone else you look at and you're like, shit, none of them are as controversial as Kinlaw's. So like
Right.
that, it's like they're good deals really across the board. The Rachaad White one makes no sense. Like it just doesn't make sense compared to what it is. Like
Almost feels like he needs new representation. It's like, how did you only get that much? Like, especially with just Bill on the roster.
I think it's the Jayden Daniels thing, man, honestly. But it's so like that's what I'm looking at. I'm like, I think me and you even got into it about like what a swing for the fences might even look like, or what it is like taking a risk would look like. And right now, all I'm seeing is upside. Yeah. I'm seeing the only risk is that these guys suck. And like that would be it.
Yeah, the only swing, right? Anytime you hand out $100 million, that's a swing, right? Like Odafe Oweh is a swing, because if he doesn't play well, then you swing and miss, right? That could happen. But short of that, right? We requested a swing, not multiple swing, like a swing. That's it. And then after that, it's been reasonable deal after reasonable deal, and some are just straight up team friendly deals. Right. Like, so it's been great, and there's still a long way to go in this offseason. This was the show. This was District Divided, a DC sports podcast, more specifically, a Washington Commanders podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening to the episode where we went through the re-signed players, then the new guys that have come in and they've already started talking to the media, and of course, the comment mailbag, along with what's next. When is Brandon Aiyuk a Washington Commander? I'd say stay patient on that one, but it should happen. That's K-Dot. If you enjoyed the episode, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do, and K-Dot.
Remember, as a fan base, anytime you're feeling really high, feeling really low, calm the fuck down. And share this shit.
And then share this shit. We greatly appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next Friday, 2 p.m. as we always do. So until then, take it easy.
Baltimore is a mess, and we ain't talking about it enough. Baltimore and Pittsburgh are not who we thought they were.
In DC, we're just hoping that you listen.